and thanks so much for joining me. Today we are talking about my top 5 products by Cle De Peau, as well as my, I'm going to say bottom 5, but for a good reason. So let's go ahead and get started. So I thought we would talk about my top 5 products, and the reason I say they're my top 5 is because they're my most frequently used. So what are my most frequently used and frequently repurchased products by Cle De Peau, as well as my least used products. So my bottom 5 don't mean that they're the worst. It just means I don't pull for them as much. So I'm not getting my money's worth out of those products. I think this is an interesting one and hopefully informative because Cle De Peau is one of the higher price points, even in the luxury realm. So their products cost quite a bit, and if it's a mistake, it's a pretty big mistake in terms of spending money on something you're not going to use. So I thought I'd share with you my years of experience with Cle De Peau products. Some are newer, but some I have repurchased over and over again. So let's go ahead and start with the first product that will be no mystery to you. I have 7 of them right now. That's how much I love this concealer. I have 6 in the previous version, and I have almond, honey, and mocha. So I used to use this in the inner corner, like as a concealer, an eye concealer, but it was heavier than some of the other concealers I found, so that's why I stopped using it there. Yeah, like I said, I have better concealers for the under eye area now, but this is the best when it comes to discoloration and anything where I have any texture. So if you have any of those issues, I have a what I call a perfect storm right here in the front. I've got discoloration plus texture. So anything that I'm going to add to this area is going to be emphasizing those pores, emphasizing texture. So it takes a really special concealer to be able to, with a thin layer, be opaque enough and natural enough to be able to cover up that discoloration and not emphasize texture, as well as endure a day of wear, because this also gets more oily. So I'm more oily in the center. So there are a lot of challenges in this particular area that not just any concealer can handle. And this one does that beautifully. So I have my current one, which is in the newer packaging. This is in mocha, and I love this one. I'm going to spot conceal for you today. I also used a foundation by Cle De Peau, and I'll mention that one in a little bit, but this concealer, like I said, it's amazing. It's got SPF, let's see, 27. This newer version also has an ingredient here that helps to brighten. So that's so smart because we're usually concealing things that are darker than our skin. So that makes a lot of sense to have a brightening ingredient in there. I rely on this one to perform, and it does every single time. Before we go on, I do want to mention a skincare product. I forgot I wanted to mention this first. The Brightening Serum Supreme. I have a lot of questions about skincare and how I've handled my dark spots and improving them over the last 6 years, I'm going to say. I use a brightening product, so it's either this one, I rotate through this one, there's a Chantecaille product that is brightening, as well as a Chanel that I use. So I rotate through 3 of them, so I'm on this one right now. This is the newest version of it. I used the previous version. This one is lovely as well. I feel like it's a little bit more effective. I haven't done any studies, just anecdotal, observational notes, but I have noticed that it does brighten nicely, evens out the skin tone for me. Now this one is a newer to me product from the line because it's newer to them, but since I got it, it's been one of the most frequently used products by Cle De Peau that I've used. It is the Radiant Cream Foundation. This one is an 030, and I always choose a little bit lighter in their line because 040 tends to go a little bit gray on me. 030 has that peach brightness to it. Even though it's a little bit lighter than my skin tone, I like that because I can bronze and I can do a few things to kind of bring it back to color. I have it on now, and also some strategic placement of this. I don't put this all over my face, but in areas where I need a little bit more coverage. So I love the finish on this. I think it's a really pretty finish, and it comes in this tube. I really like that. It's very convenient because I have their other foundations. Actually, one of their foundations was a favorite of the year. It is in a glass bottle though, and I really like that this is in a tube. It makes it very convenient, portable to take with you. Lovely finish on this one. The third most used product that I have is not a new product. In fact, it's, I don't even know if you can get your hands on it. And this is one I think you can predict what it is. It is their old Luminizing Face Enhancer in 18. And I just wanted to say how much I love this one. I have not tried one of the new ones with the double-digit coating, which you let me know is not as brilliant as the one that I picked up. But I just think this is such a transformative product. It does something to my skin that no other product has ever really done before. I'm trying to think, there was that Chanel blush that had the star on it. It was the light peach one, and that kind of did the same thing, but this one really is just the finest kind of glow on the skin without any detectable shimmer. I can place it up here. It does a really beautiful job of bringing about bone structure in a way that is not obvious. It doesn't require any contour or anything like that. It just brings about that bone structure without emphasizing texture, because I add it right here. It does a little bit of, not color correcting, but maybe eye distracting in that it refracts the light, so you don't see through to the dark spots as much. So I will use that as a powder sometimes when I need to just quickly blur that area. So it gives a soft focus. It's almost like it airbrushes the focus on dark spots for me. So that's why I love this, and I'm a little sad that it's not something that they continued to carry, but I have yet to go through the entire Luminizing Face Enhancer, the new line yet. So I don't know, I can't speak to those other shades yet, except for the one that I picked up. So this one is still one of my top 5. I love this one, so it's game changing. I'm gonna throw this one in with the concealers I forgot, because this makes the concealers even better, because it allows you to be more strategic. It allows you to regulate how much you want to add on. I was going in directly with that, which is fine for my dark spots, but some other areas like here around my nose, it really allows me to get in around that area. I've got broken capillaries. Also around here, it's nice and precise. I can use this up here as well to apply that concealer in that darkest area and also help clean up this area right over here. So I do that all the time. You see me with the concealer because that one stays in place. I don't have any other concealers that won't bunch up in this area because there's a lot of movement in that area. And that's one great thing about the concealer as well, is that it moves with the skin. It doesn't bunch up. I really love it for that. So I'm just throwing this brush in with that. Those of you who have the brush know what I'm talking about. Doesn't look like it's going to do anything. In fact, it feels like nothing. It's so lightweight, but it really does maximize that concealer and maximizes the versatility of the concealer. Then, oh gosh, I don't even know where I am with this. Okay, then we've got eyeshadows. I love their eyeshadow quads. I have some duos, I just don't use them as much. I have a couple here, and I actually have a case for the eyeshadows because, as you know, I don't have a case for what I'm going to talk about next. But I've got 2 here, and I used both of them today. I've got 305. This is a nice neutral quad, and I'm taking out because I need to look at the back. But yeah, definitely get at least 1 case for these, and then you can keep the other one in the plastic case just for storage if you like. But it has some warmth and some coolness to it, so I really like this one. The glow is very soft. The finish is just beautiful, and it really is so easy to blend. And then the other one that I love is 311. It has this beautiful teal shade, which I used as an eyeliner today. So I love this one a lot. So both of these, I think I have more of these, but these are the ones that I pull for the most. So 305 again has the more neutral tones. And then if you look at the next one, 311, it's got more cool tones. That's the one with beautiful teal shade. It's a very sophisticated kind of color. Then finally, my most frequently used, and you can see they're pretty battered because I did not get a case. I know I said I would get one as soon as they came back in stock, and I think I just forgot because now I'm looking at them. This is why I don't travel with them, is because I don't have the case, which is silly because I applied one of the blushes today and I thought this blush is amazing, and I'm sad that I have not been using it just because I don't have a case. So really need to invest in a case here. We've got 105 and 102. And the reason why I'm calling these out is because if you look at these, you can see that they have a very, very fine glow about them that the other blushes do not have. And I love these the most. I'll talk a little bit more about the other blushes in a moment, but we've got, again, 105. That's the one that's got the warmth to it. It's lovely for if you wanted something kind of like an apricot shade, really pretty. And I love putting that one with a lighter shade on top and then the deeper shade under, like this. I think that's so pretty. And then we have 102, which is the pinkier shade. This one is beautiful if you like a cooler blush. I love this one as well. I like to take the lighter shade and put it all over the cheek and then take the deeper shade and use that as a pop of color. So I've got on number 105 today. So I used 105. Those are my top 5 most used products by Cle De Peau. Let's go over to my, how did I say it? I can't remember because it's kind of like a funny way to say it. My least used products by Cle De Peau. My 5 least used products by Cle De Peau. Okay, maybe that's the best way to say it. Or my bottom 5 products. So starting with, and this is not going to be news to you because I've recently tried it, and I know you haven't had it that long to say it's one of my least used products. I just don't see myself pulling for it for the same purpose of the previous version. So we're talking about the Luminizing Face Enhancer in 202. It's so pretty. But let's take a look at the swatch because it's so shimmery. Maybe not so shimmery for other people, but it's shimmery for me. And I was expecting it to perform more like number 18, the previous one that I love so much. But again, I need to try the double-digit version first before I write off this whole updated Luminizing Face Enhancer. Really need to try one. So if you have a suggestion or recommendation, please let me know. I will happily pick it up if you love it, especially if you love it. That means I will love it. But I know some of you like this. Someone let me know you use it as an eyeshadow, which I would love to try at some point. Or let's see, should we try just as a highlighter? I don't know. Yeah, it has that like detectable shimmer thing about it. It's not as skin enhancing, skin perfecting as the previous version. So even as a highlighter, I still feel like I'm seeing a little bit. It's not bad, but it doesn't do the same thing. Maybe if they titled this differently, named it something differently, or if it had a different name and a different purpose, like they called this a highlighter, then I would maybe be okay with knowing what to expect with it. I think I was caught off guard by this is part of the issue, but I definitely will not be using it as much as I use the other one. Another bottom 5 Cle De Peau, again, it's because I don't use it as frequently, is this, and it's beautiful. I put it on today. It's the bronzer. And I think it really is because I have so many lovely bronzers that I pull for that you see all the time. Like this Sisley one, that's still a go-to. I haven't used it in a while. I love the Chanel. I love their cream bronzer. I've been using that nonstop. The Guerlain bronzers are beautiful. There's nothing wrong with this. Like I said, as I was going through trying to sort through and categorize everything, I thought I really have not pulled for this very much at all. But I used it today. It is warmer though, so if you like that warm, almost orangey tone, which is kind of hard to find actually. Based on when I applied it again today, I thought, wow, this is a really warm bronzer. It's number 2. So if you like that, I just swirled the 2 together, but you can definitely use them separately. I actually did go in and do that with this one here because I needed to just cool down a little bit of that warmth. So I went in with that, but that is one of my second least used product. And then here, this is an example of a blush that is not the same glow as the other blushes. And I want to say all of them. I don't know where they are, but this one at least I could locate. And it's got, I can even see right here as I'm looking at it, and I'll swatch it for you, of course, has detectable particles in there, especially in that lightest shade, which is not I'm not into that at all. So that is why I don't pull for this as much. In fact, you can see it still has the embossing on there, the Cle De Peau, because I don't use it. So that would be something to save your money on, unless, of course, you love blush that has detectable shimmer. I do not. And then you might be surprised, but I don't use the cream blushes as much. I love cream blush. And I think maybe because part of it is when I originally purchased the cream blushes, I didn't have the brush, and using my hands would be a little bit harder because I'd have to work around this concealer because it does lift as I apply with my hands, it does lift up any makeup underneath, but the brush is a game changer. So I think I would use this more using the Cle De Peau blush brush. because that has saved me from not using, does that make sense? It has saved me from ignoring my other cream blushes. So I'm actually going to use this a little bit just to show you how gentle that is, because if you're using your fingers to apply this blush, you probably don't have any concealer or anything underneath that you have to worry about like I do. But this just allows me to stipple it on really gently, and it allows me to use this blush. Whereas before, I think the reason I wasn't using these, and this is the limited edition, it's so funny when I start taking these out, like I just want to play with the makeup now because I don't use things because for some reason or another, I found something that was easier to use or got distracted by something else. But these are pretty products, but I would recommend if you struggle with the cream blushes because you're lifting makeup off as you apply like I was, this brush really allows access to using this in a way that won't disturb the makeup underneath. So again, beautiful product. I just don't use it because at the time I don't think I had those brushes. And then this last one, I love their lipsticks. This is in 9 Silk Thread, and I really wanted to pick this up, but it's just too cool for me. Not too cool, but it is on the cooler side. It's a pretty formula though, but you can see it's much cooler than what I would normally wear, but it's a lovely color in case you wanted something that had a little bit of that, like there's a little bit of a lavender tone in there. It's pretty, just not the prettiest shade, I don't think, on me. I think there are probably some prettier shades, so I definitely want to invest in some of their other lipsticks. Let me know if there are some shades that you like. It's really hard to tell online, I think. Lipsticks, I think, are one of the hardest things to determine the shade online, and especially how it's going to look, because not only are you applying it against your skin tone, but also if you have existing color on your lips like me, then it's really hard to tell what it's going to look like. So I'd love to know, especially if you have coloring like me, what your suggestions are, what your recommendations are for their lip products. But that is it for my top 5 Cle De Peau products, as well as my bottom 5 Cle De Peau products. Remember, this is not because they're not good products. They're actually quite beautiful. Now that I'm swatching them and playing with them, I realize how beautiful they are. And I'm also realizing I need to keep them a little bit further to the front so I remember to use them, because like I said, Cle De Peau is one of the higher priced items in the luxury beauty realm. So I want to make sure I'm getting my money's worth there. But for sure, the top 5 products are things that you can see that I love. You've seen them many times, and that's how you really know I love something on this channel, because I talk about it over and over again. So if you are unsure of a product and its performance, you see me repeat over and over again my favorites because they perform at a high level consistently. And so you can depend on those things. I don't really change out my favorites that much unless it's like a new shade or something like that, or something that's a limited edition product that I want to make sure that you're able to pick up while it's still available. But other than that, that is what this channel is about, finding the best of the best and highlighting those things. So let me know what you love by Cle De Peau. What are some things that you use the most, that you repurchase frequently, as well as items that you purchase that you're not using as much, and things that you are not getting use out of, because I think that's really helpful as well. Doesn't mean they're bad. In fact, these are really beautiful products, but I just don't use them as much. So I'd love to know. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. But that is it for today's video. So please take care of each other, stay well. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.